I want you to list all the guys you know who play video games. And maybe that includes you. But I want you to list out all the guys you know that play video games. And I want you to list all the guys you know who make more than, say, $10,000 a month. Or 120K per year. See if there's any correlation there. Are the guys who are playing video games every day making a lot of money? Are they broke, maybe? Or are they just very financially successful as well? See if there's any correlation there between the guys who are devoting maybe at least an hour of their day to playing video games and the guys who are living financially free and successfully, even in their 20s as well. And the reason I bring that up is because today I'm going to show you how to reclaim your success by becoming a king in the modern world. So, like, what does that mean? Reclaim your success by becoming a king. Why would you want to become a king, you might ask? Is it even possible to become a king today? Well, I'd say it is, because definition, at least my definition of a king, is somebody, some man, any man, who generates value for himself and others, who makes valuable things that he and others can benefit from. So, for example, I hope and I aim to be a king right now because I'm recording a video for anyone watching this as well as myself. So that's one way I'm kind of manifesting that king energy right now. And other people do it through their careers. Other people do it through volunteer work. But indeed, the definition of a king is a man who produces more than he consumes, and those things that he produces are in fact valuable things. So the problem is today that most men are devoting their effort to pretty much just achieving nothing. They're working very hard, but they're really just working towards the wrong things. So, some men work very hard on video games, for example. That used to be me. I sunk hundreds of hours into, building my Minecraft base, for example. But what did that really mean once I turned off the game? Pretty much nothing. I devoted all this brain power, all this planning, all of this, time and effort towards just building this little pixel kingdom that really meant nothing just once I walked away from it. And it means nothing now. And it's probably one of the biggest regrets in my life. So, that's one of the hundreds of reasons not to play video games, right? Other men are devoting their efforts to, say, partying and getting women, especially like degenerate women. See, they get off of work and they go to some kind of bar, some kind of nightclub where they chase after like these smelly women who have already been done by like 3 guys in the past week. Let's be honest. And it's just kind of a negative feedback loop of these two genders just kind of feeding off of their lust that they have in common, but they're just kind of fulfilling it in like the worst possible way. And they're both just incredibly low quality people because they're treating the act of sex as just like this commodity, this form of entertainment, which is part of the reason, which is part of the contributing factors to why just so many people are unattractive today. Other guys devote a lot of their effort to their careers, and maybe they spend a lot of time in like some middle of the road, middle wage job so they can get maybe some Ferrari that they can drive down the road and get some kind of validation with, right? They save up a lot of money and devote a lot of their time to buying some kind of high status item that'll make them appear more credible or more rich than they actually are. And you might say, well, that's not really a waste of time, but it kind of is. It's just so shallow. It's like this hypothetical guy who's working, say, 65, 70 hours per week to earn a lot of money, save a whole lot of it, and then once he's done that for like years on end, has done nothing with himself, he's just going to buy this fancy car that may or may not break down within the first couple of years, so he can drive down the street and some people will just turn their head and then they'll look back, and then they'll forget, right? And there's just no point to that, honestly. So that's just a few of the examples of what guys are just wasting their time with, right? It's just these fleeting things that they're trying to pursue that really, at the end of the day, just mean nothing to them and are just a waste of their time and potential. Like, quite honestly, if you just show up to your job every day and you do it, you're kind of ahead of 90% of guys, honestly. All you need on top of that is, I'd say, like 2 good habits. Like, maybe you go to the gym and maybe you read you read like a book for like an hour a day. You do like those 3 things, right? You show up to your job, you actually do like the hard work, you just grind for like 8 hours a day, you be focused, you go to the gym, right? You work hard in the gym, you work on your fitness, you track your calories, you try and get lean and build muscle, and 3, you read a book, you listen to a podcast, you just do something to educate yourself, maybe have a mentor of some sort. Do those 3 things. I guarantee that you have just infinitely compounded your odds of becoming a millionaire in the future, or of just becoming a lot more successful with your life. So, besides that, a true king is someone who organizes all of his effort to achieve specific goals. So, what a real king would do is he wouldn't waste a minute of his time, like a minute of the time of his day, just pursuing things that he doesn't want. Honestly, he's going to devote all of his effort to giving out value, right? And honestly, I've gotten the structure and the concepts described in this video. These the base idea originates from this book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover by Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette. It's a pretty obscure book on traditional masculinity, and it's about becoming the best man possible by following these 4 archetypes: king, warrior, magician, lover, that are part of like ancient lore and ancient myth. So very, very fascinating read, and I hope to talk about it quite a bit more on this channel. So yeah, a true king organizes all of his effort to achieve specific goals. He doesn't waste any of his time. He's very organized, you know. He's the one who cleans his room, he waters his garden, he mows his grass. He is in complete control of everything that he owns. He is, as they would say, the yang, or the masculine force, or kind of like the god of his kingdom, right? He has complete control over it. And we'll talk about the other archetypes, but he's kind of a warrior in the sense that he can defend his kingdom as well. But I'll talk about those in later videos. A true king also controls his emotions and actions, right? This is part of the king ruling his domain, right? He's going to rule over his emotions. He's going to rule over his physical actions. He's not going to lose his temper. He's not going to go apeshit when something doesn't go his way. Because, let's be honest, he's in control of himself. And that's ultimately the only thing that you can do at the end of the day, is control yourself and not seek to control the outside circumstances or things that are your responsibility and things that are ultimately outside of your control. You can never change those, so why even worry about them? Just focus on yourself, right? Some limiting beliefs some guys have about becoming a king is that, well, being a king is just not possible in today's world. Well, yeah, it is. See, what most people think about when they think about this thing called a king is, well, it's this old medieval concept of this guy who wears a robe and holds a scepter and has a crown on his head, and he goes around just telling people what to do. He has this whole court, all these peasants, all these servants. He's probably fat. He's probably kind of a jerk to just everyone who isn't on the same level as him. But that's just not true. That wasn't what kings were back in the day. Kings were royal, respected, just high-value men back in the day, honestly. They were the most desirable men to all the women in the kingdom. Why? Because they had the best financial success, They probably weren't that handsome, let's be honest, because there's probably some inbreeding back then, at least in you know, the English royal family. But they just had a whole lot of wealth, and they shared it with their people, and that's what made their people love them, and that's ultimately what kept them on the throne. So yeah, and you can kind of manifest that in in today's society by becoming a king yourself. And I've already described how to do that, but that all goes to say that becoming a king is totally achievable in today's society. You just got to produce more than you consume, and you got to have control over everything that you can control. Being a king, some people may say, is toxic masculinity because you're being controlling, right? Well, not necessarily, because a king only controls what he owns, right? And that might include himself. Well, it totally includes himself, but it also might include his women and his children that he's gonna, assert dominance over and be the orderly force in, right? That's the classic example of a good father, at least in the traditional sense. And it's what served humanity just so well for the past millennia. So why not still do it today, right? It can only do you good. And we've kind of destroyed the positive archetype of the king in today's society because of modern feminism. Feminism that seeks to kind of bridge the gap between men and women, and how they're perceived as unequal. And what feminism tries to do is they try to effeminize men, and they try to emasculate women, right? And that kind of depolarizes men and women from each other, and ultimately takes away men's agency, men's ability, men's ethical responsibility to be kings. And that's why just so many men are weak, or at least it's one of the reasons among many. Some guys, a lot of guys today, will say that it's okay to play an hour of video games every day after they come home from work, for example. But honestly, I just think that's kind of cope. It's definitely a cope. Because what is a true king? Well, a true king is someone who doesn't waste any of his time. He just devotes everything to his goals. He's not going to sacrifice his goals for anything, even like the love of his life. He's not going to sacrifice his goals for her because he respects himself above all. And honestly, that's what this whole video that I'm trying to make already assumes. This video already gives its advice, assuming that you already respect yourself and that you have personal boundaries and personal goals, and just a high level of self-respect and personal standards for yourself. But putting that aside, all right, picking up where I left off, even if you are doing any kind of habit, any kind of addictive habit just for an hour, you're probably not just doing it for an hour. You're probably getting as much of it as you can, as much as it will take to satisfy you, which will probably be a whole lot, just because we're so gluttonous as human beings. Our brains are hardwired to crave the dopamine and the amount of reward we get from such things as video games or sugar, or like genetically engineered junk food that's like designed in labs to be like super addictive for people, which is actually the case. If you look it up, you might find stuff different, but it totally is the case. It's just what they're not telling you because they want to make a profit and they want to keep you fat and stupid. But on top of that, it could be anything like porn, for example, as well. That's just taking advantage of the reward systems in your brain to just keep you hooked. So, yeah, that is the copeful nature of only playing an hour of video games per day. That's a fallacy. That's almost never the case, and it's better to just devote all of your effort, all of your time to achieving something you'll actually want in the long term, something that your future self will thank you for, and not just resent you for because you wasted your future self's time. Another weak mindset is thinking that it's impossible to give value to people in your line of work. So in like your day job, for example, say I work in customer service, I'll be like, well, I don't really like my job, so I don't really feel like I'm giving value to people. And you know what? That's fair enough. But what you have to do is you either have to work harder at your job and be like authentically joyful and like sincerely try and help people out, or you might just have to find a new job. Maybe you want to get into entrepreneurship. Maybe you want to go into business with yourself. Maybe you want to work for yourself, or maybe you want to get a different job, like a doctor, for example, where you're helping people in a more direct way, or in a way that you think is actually meaningful. So it's only really people who are stuck in a rut who are saying, well, I shouldn't provide value to people. I shouldn't be a king because it's impossible to give value to people in my work. Last limiting belief is that is saying I'm already a king because I have somewhat of a stable life, right? Sorry, it's really cold out here, so forgive me if I'm slurring my words or stuttering a bit, but the cold weather kind of freezes your joints a bit. But yeah, saying I'm already fulfilling this king archetype because I have a somewhat stable life. Well, the fact of the matter is you just have to get better, honestly. Because even if you do have your own house and you have your own job, maybe you're just some privileged white kid from a first world country, that doesn't excuse you. You still have to work harder no matter what stage of life you're on, right? That's kind of the idea of continuous improvement, where despite where you are in life, that's not really what matters. What matters is that you're trying to get better, and that you're wasting less and less time each day, and you're putting more and more time towards achieving your goals, right? Because even if I'm like a relatively fit guy, I still might be like 20% body fat, and I still gotta lose the fat, build on the muscle. I can always be a better athlete, just like I can always be a better businessman, just like I can always be a better father, or a better friend, or a better lover, right? So that's pretty much it for all the excuses. If you have any more, feel free to shoot them at me in the comments. I'll be sure to destroy those limiting beliefs for anyone who may have them as well. So what I want you to do now at getting near to the end of this video is go and clean your room right now. Go pause this video, go to your room if you're still living with your parents, or grab the vacuum cleaner if you live in your apartment and go clean your entire space. Maybe there's dust on your dresser. Get that off of there. Maybe there's dirty clothes on your floor. Go wash those. Go put those in the hamper. Maybe you just got like random garbage lying around. Go put that in the garbage. Put your house in perfect order, basically. And whatever you own, go right now and put that in order, right? And you can start with cleaning your house, doing the dishes, right? Just putting everything in its place and getting everything spotless. Basically, I know it's an extreme order. You might be like, who is this guy? Why is he telling me to do this? Believe me, it's worked for me. And unless you assert dominance over your domain, unless you try and take control of your circumstances, your house is gonna rule over you. It's gonna. I don't know if everyone has this, but if my room is dirty, my mental health just goes down. It feels like I have less control, like I have less power over my circumstances. One more thing that you can do is go and cook your own dinner tonight, right? Don't order Uber Eats. Don't rely on your mom to make it for you, or your dad. Just make your own food for once. It's a very valuable skill to learn how to cook, and it also fits with the king archetype, where you're producing something for yourself and for other people. So go and make your own dinner tonight, and at least make it for yourself, but you could also make it for your family. Go and find some kind of recipe. Maybe if you just gotta heat up a box of Kraft Dinner and just pour the stuff in there, mix it up, put it on the table, that's still good enough because you made that yourself. You generated that. You generated your own value there. So at least, make your own dinner tonight. Generate value for yourself and others. So start doing that. make a habit of it. Even I'll be very proud of you if you do that. And yeah, try and practice the king archetype more in your life, and you'll start getting successful. You'll start seeing more results. You'll start taking yourself more seriously, and you'll start making progress to your actual goals. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. Go ahead, scroll down, like, subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and go watch my other videos on personal responsibility, where I kind of lay more of a foundation for this philosophy. So yeah, see you later.